might look like a large pile of wood, but actually we're going to make a raised bed out of this. You might also have a large pile of wood because of all the recent ice storms, and today we're going to show you what Hugelkultur gardening is. Basically, Hugelkultur was developed in Germany, and it stands for, it means in German, hill garden or mound gardening. And what we're going to do is basically bury this wood. If you're familiar with lasagna gardening, it's that same sort of principle, but we're doing it on a larger scale here. What we've done is we've dug down a trench, we've filled our wood in here, we've removed some cedar trees and a telephone pole because those don't break down very well. You also want to make sure not to incorporate any walnut trees because those can give off toxins that will prevent your plants from growing. Soft wood decomposes faster than hardwood, and you want to make sure that the wood is very dry. As you can see, this is pretty well decomposing already. The reason for this is because it will help that process. If you use willow, you especially want to make sure that it is dry wood so that it doesn't sprout. What we're going to do is we're going to backfill this now with soil that we have excavated. This wood is a carbon material, and basically in our compost pile it's going to want to take a lot of the nitrogen out of the soil. So we're going to counteract that by adding manure and additional compost on top of this, and so that will initiate this breaking down process. Now, the other thing that these logs are really valuable for is as the water drains down into this and these continue to break down, these logs are almost going to act like sponges holding that moisture in the ground. The more logs you have, the more sponges you have. In theory, if you have a large Hugelkultur that's about 6 feet tall, you won't have to water it during the summertime. So we're going to kind of practice and see and monitor that and how much water we have to put on here this summer. Now, after loading in the logs in the trenched area, we then applied more organic matter so that we could encourage that decomposition process. We first put some manure and compost down, then we put another layer of ornamental grasses, and then finally we top dressed it with some more soil. Now, if you didn't have soil, a good way to create that soil is by trenching. Or if you already have soil from another location, you can just bring that in and pile it up on top of the lumber. And you can see we're on a slope here, so the water will come down and run into this berm, and those logs will soak up that water. And eventually, as this decomposes more, those logs will provide moisture back into this raised bed, if you will. Now, the other thing you need to know about when you're planting this, you want to make sure that you're not planting it immediately with plants that need a lot of nutrients. As we've said, the logs will take a lot of the nitrogen out of the soil. So for this season, we're just going to cover it with a cover crop that we can then kind of incorporate that green material and allow this to cure a little bit better. While this might look like a giant pile of dirt, it will eventually be a nice garden. And I know this might not be appropriate for all landscapes, but you could do the same practice in a smaller version, one that's just a couple of feet high. And again, this is going to shrink over time. This might be a great solution if you have a lot of ice damaged trees, or if you're looking for a way to create a berm and to redirect water that might be coming from your neighbor.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.